Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we have a major update on the family vlogger front. This is something that came out of the state of Washington, and it has to do with the income generated off of family vlog channels. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so I received many messages about this. I also saw YouTuber headlines talk about it, so I wanted to throw my opinion out there. I think that this is a very exciting and noteworthy update that is possible for these kids that are part of family vlogs. Now, this isn't nationwide, it is coming out of the state of Washington, and the only family vlogger, now take it, I don't know every family vlogger out there, but I know that Itsjudyslife resides in Washington. If she still does reside in Washington, I don't think that they've moved. And they are massive family vloggers. Let me check their subscriber count. Judy has been on YouTube for ages. I used to watch her beauty content many years ago. And right now her vlog channel has 1.82 million subscribers, and they upload very consistently. They've, vlogged from the time that their kids were born. So they are very popular and obviously generate a ton of income by featuring their kids in their vlogs. And so I think that this being introduced is huge for the people who, don't like to see these extravagant lifestyles built off of the backs of showing really private, intimate moments of children's lives. I think that if I was a family vlogger who was doing that and I lived in the state of Washington, I would be scrambling right now to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. So I can only imagine the conversations that are happening behind closed doors with people who vlog their family and live in the state of Washington. I think that it would be fantastic to know that there are protections being possibly put in place for my kids to make sure that they are, just the fact that my kids can be financially stable off of the money that they're helping generate. Money should already be put aside for, these kids when they get older. But unfortunately, it's the influencer lifestyle. You have to upgrade to the next bigger, better house. You have to drive a certain car. You have to have the Louis Vuitton bag. You have to have the really expensive engagement ring and dress a certain way. And I'm not saying that all vloggers do the same blueprint, but in a lot of the situations, there is one or more of these kind of factors placed in their online reputation, their appearance, and unfortunately, when you're talking about, a $3 million house, two $70,000 cars, the wardrobe, everything else, even with the income being generated, because of the lifestyle, the debt to income usually is not a very favorable number to be able to put money aside for the kids. That's just my opinion. It's not fact, but there's only so much money that can go around, let's be honest. And the way that some of them live is like, good Lord, I said before, I'd hate to be their accountants at the end of the year. And don't even get me started on being their financial advisors. Wow. This was introduced on January 18th, so just a couple days ago, by Representatives Wicks, Berry, Sells, Sen, and Eslick. I'll put it up here so you guys can read along. I'll also link it down below if you're interested in reading it for yourself. As I read through this, please keep in mind, I'm not an attorney. I am not a political genius. I don't bring politics onto my channel. So have a little patience. This is not anywhere near my expertise, but I'm going to try to just insert my opinion throughout so that we can try to sort through this together. And if you guys are watching this video and you are much more familiar with some of the verbiage and things that are mentioned in this document. I want this comment section to be a really healthy conversation. Feel free to leave your full opinion. Do you agree with this? Do you not? All opinions are welcome. I'm just going to read it and put it out there, and then we can go from there. So it starts out by saying an act relating to protecting the interests of minor children featured on for-profit family vlogs, amending RCW 63.60.020 and 63.60.040, adding new sections to Chapter 63.60 RCW and creating a new section. So reminder, this is out of the state of Washington. It's not nationwide, but I'd love to see it in the state of California because there are so many family vloggers that live in the state of California. I'd like to see it be in the state of, like the bigger states, New York, Florida, Texas, definitely California first, because there's so many vloggers that live in California still. I know a lot of people are leaving the state of California, but there are still plenty who reside there. So it says, new section, Section 1. The legislature finds that social media influencers can make significant amounts of money from the digital content they produce. Some influencers use their minor children as subjects of that content. Those children are generating interest in and revenue for the content, but receive no financial compensation for their participation. Unlike in child acting, these children are not playing a part and lack legal protections. And that's been the argument for ages now, is that some people want to make the comparison of, oh, well, it's just like a child actor. It's in fact the exact opposite, because when a child actor is going to a stage or a set to, perform a role, they're there for a limited amount of time. It's not in their home setting. There's protections put in place to make sure that the child is still receiving education, they're receiving their financial compensation. They are only allowed to work for a certain period of time. There are family vloggers who vlog their entire day from the minute that their kids wake up until the minute that they go to bed. Even if it's off and on for vlog little chunks, it's still the fact that they're not on a set, they're in their home. Many times there have been vloggers who have integrated homeschooling their kids so that their kids can be home to make content. And I've always worried about, I'm all for, if you're into homeschooling and that's your thing, that's great. But I think that the issue with a lot of vloggers is that they're not qualified to homeschool, and they're strictly using that as an option so that their kids are at home so that they can be part of YouTube content. It's not, we're homeschooling because that's the best choice for our family and I'm qualified to teach my kids at home. I hope that that makes sense. For the comparison that try to be made between child actors and kids on YouTube, it's always just fallen flat for me, but that's just me. It goes on to say, the legislature finds that social media influencers who market video content of their families or vloggers can profit from the personal property rights of their children without restriction. Some children are filmed with highly personal details of their lives shared on the internet for compensation from birth. And that's what we've seen with so many family vloggers. That's not breaking news. In addition to a severe loss of privacy, these children receive no consideration for the use and exchange of their personal property rights. And that's what I've said forever. I think that it's one thing I always make and I'm only bringing her up because it's a great comparison. If I think of like a Love Meg or Brianna K, where their kids are part of the channel but not really the main focus, versus someone like the Prince family, I just talked about them, the Ace family, the LeBrants, where these kids are the backbone of the entire channel. No matter what, the kids should be compensated and their privacy should be absolutely protected. When I put myself in the shoes of, let's just say Brianna K's kids versus the Prince family kids, I look at that and I'm sitting back thinking, okay, if I was a kid that was growing up and I saw my childhood through the lens of the Prince family or through the lens of Brianna Kay, I feel like the impact of being the backbone of how your family got rich and the reason that they got rich would weigh very heavily if I knew that people were only watching the channel because of me. And that's something that I'm trying to get a little bit better at, is having more of a gray area when it comes to, you know, what I consider full-on family vlogging channels versus what I consider a vlogging channel that sometimes features their kids. All of them need compensation. All of them deserve privacy. If we're going to hit the bigger fish first, then the focus needs to be on channels like LeBrant's Ace Family, 8 Passengers, you know, Itsjudyslife, these channels that consistently have their kids in vlogs every single day. You know, they're filming things like bra shopping, sex talks, all of that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that I would want to focus on first and foremost. Let's, you know, definitely get them out of the way and then focus on other channels that feature their kids. But as far as the compensation and privacy, you know, that's no question. But if we're going to go in order, I hope that I'm making sense here. If we're going to go in order from most problematic to less problematic, then I definitely look at some of these big full-on family vlogging channels as the ones that need to be held accountable first and foremost. It goes on to say, the legislature intends to allow minors to receive proportional compensation for the use of specified personal property rights, where their parents have reached a specified profit threshold from that use. The legislature also intends to provide for minors to exercise control over specified personal property rights upon reaching the age of majority. So this goes on to outline, and again, I'm going to link the entire document down below. So they go on to define what vlogger means. It says vlogger means an individual or family that creates video content in exchange for compensation and includes any proprietorship, partnership, company, or other corporate entity assuming the name or identity of a particular individual or family for purposes of that content creation. And then it goes on to section 3, where it outlines a vlogger meeting the criteria under subsection 2 of this section must compensate the vlogger's minor child whose likeness, name, or photograph constitutes the video content meeting the criteria in subsection 2A of this section in accordance with subsection 3 of this section. This section applies to a vlogger meeting the following criteria at any time within the previous 12-month period: a number of views received per video segment on any internet platform or network met the platform or network's threshold for generation of compensation, or the vlogger received actual compensation for the video content equal to or greater than 10 cents per view, and at least 30% of the vlogger's compensated video content produced within a 30-day period included the likeness, name, or photograph of the vlogger's minor child. Content percentage is measured by the percentage of the time the likeness, name, or photograph of the vlogger's minor child visually appears or is subject of an oral narrative in a video segment as compared to the total length of the segment. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. It does seem like, you know, they definitely have a great outline here, but when I talk about if we're going to hit kind of the big fish first, then I do think of the family vlogging channels that are making millions of dollars a year, and their children carry the family name, they carry the content. The people are there to see their cute little kids run around because they know that the kids are featured in every single video. And, you know, we're not even talking about the creepers that hang out on a lot of these family channels because they know that the kids are that much, you know, a huge part of the content creation. So it's a huge, there are definitely levels to family vlogging channels. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at here. But I'm going to link the document down below. Like I said, you guys can read it. You know, I'm not a law nerd or anything like that. And maybe Emily D. Baker can, you know, dissect this at some point. But I do find it it's just great news. And I'm sure that some people will try to take credit for this. Some people will say that, you know, it's all because of them. Here's the point. I don't think that's true. I think that this has been an issue that's been talked about for a very long time. And unfortunately, with some things, they have to be talked about for years before we get to a point where we're at with this being introduced in the state of Washington. And I just think that it's fantastic news. I don't even, you know, really care about, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because of that. The point is that it's being introduced, and hopefully with one state introducing it, it trickles down. But I would love to see them focus on states that have a ton of family vloggers, like California. I would say that that should be next. California should have actually been first, just my opinion. But I think that this is fantastic. There definitely needs to be certain things put into place to protect these kids. And the financial compensation is a big part of it. But what I also think is a big part of it is putting out some guidelines to say that, you know, you're not allowed to say where your kids go to school. You're not allowed to share certain private information like their birthday. You know, I don't know. There just needs to be better guidelines in place in order to not make these kids' futures absolutely devastating, because they're dealing with the fallout of having their privacy invaded, not having any money from all the millions that their parents made. Who knows if their parents can even hold on to these $1 million homes, because we know that family vlogging is, you know, on the downward slope as far as popularity on YouTube goes. And not to mention, your entire childhood is on the internet forever. So I think that there is definitely some good changes being introduced. I hope that it trickles down, and I hope that it continues to get more and more serious, so that, you know, I always said, bare minimum, there needs to be something to say, you can't get rich off your kids' back, blow all the money so that you can live like movie stars, and then when your kids turn 18, you're, you know, you've already filed bankruptcy, or you're you haven't put money aside. And what does that say for your kids? That's why when I think of those scenarios, I just think of all of the possible lawsuits that could come out of some of these families. And it's really unfortunate, but I'm also just being a realist, and that's how I kind of see things unfolding in the future. But either way, I did want to share this with you guys. Please tell me everything that you think down below. You know, do you think kind of along the lines of me with this kind of, let's hit the big fish first and then focus on the smaller fish? Because if we're talking about a percentage of how often some kids are featured on family vlogs, there are some channels that only feature their kids 25% of the time. So I would say worry about those secondary, still worry about them. Everyone needs compensation and privacy, but let's focus on the big ones like I listed first and foremost. So either way, for now, if you like the video, leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.